Why, hello. Welcome to Christy's Couch. My name is Christy Lucasiak, and thanks for hanging out with me on my very pink, very velvet, very cute, aesthetically pleasing couch. So it is Thursday. I kind of love that I put podcasts out on Thursday because it's getting us ready for the weekend. It's so exciting. I have to say, I've heard from so many of my sorority girls that you guys are listening. So that makes me so excited. So hello. I see you. I hear you. Okay. So let's catch up on this week. And then we have a really interesting guest today that I'm excited to share with all of you. But as always, I like to kind of catch you up on what's happening in my world, what I can recommend, like interesting things, I think, maybe, that we can all, just help each other enjoy this weird time of still kind of on lockdown. Speaking of lockdown and COVID and all of the things, I actually am now officially on the list to receive my vaccination. Don't come at me if you don't believe in the vaccination. I get it. I respect it, but please respect my decision to get it. But yeah, so our healthcare system has finally opened it up to my age range. So I am very excited that I will be able to get the vaccination so that hopefully I can travel. My husband's already received it because he works in healthcare, not front lines, but they just made sure everyone was vaccinated. And Claire's not quite to the point. I don't believe that she actually needs it yet. And Chloe will get it sooner than later because she has an underlying condition, which is asthma. But we're trying to be respectful to all of the older people out there who need it before we do. But yeah, now that it's opening up, hopefully we'll be able to be vaccinated. Herd immunity will become a real thing. And then we can all get back to living our normal lives. Although I have to say, I do believe our quote unquote normal lives are going to be a lot different than they were before, which is fine because, change is good. And hopefully there will be some good takeaways and positive changes. And, we can all just move forward in whatever this new life is in the most positive way possible. Okay, so what is happening in our life besides getting a COVID vaccination? Oh my God. Okay, I know what I can talk about. Okay, so I am not one to shy away from a beauty procedure. I'm really not. I very much research things and I'm like, oh, this looks good. We all know I did Botox on national television, which now 10 years later seems ridiculous that was even a scandalous thing because 20-year-olds get Botox for God's sakes. I'm the first to say I get Botox. I don't get it a ton. They recommend every 3 to 6 months, depending on how fast you metabolize. I get it maybe once a year, maybe every 18 months. I've had bad Botox experiences where one eyelid will droop a little bit or where my eyeballs look like it looked like somebody jumped out of a haunted house. I'm like, ah! I never went back to that person, clearly. And sometimes I just don't like that my face doesn't move. I'm a very expressionful person. So sometimes I'm like, I don't really need it. But I do it. I've also had lip filler. I've done, I've had my boobs done, which I'm not ashamed to say. I didn't get anything crazy. I just needed a little. I was very unfortunate after my children, and I just wanted to kind of go back to that pre-baby body with a little enhancement. So again, I think if you want to do things to yourself, it's totally fine. And that's a personal decision. And I don't really run around shouting it from the rooftops. But if people ask, I'm honest about it. But again, I do think it's a personal thing. So anyway, so I saw this new thing that a lot of people were getting online and I researched it and it's called fibroblast. And basically it's this little plasma pen that shoots I don't know. I don't exactly know all of it, but it basically shoots it bends the air to create this plasma situation happening on your face. But basically you can use it to, like stimulate your collagen growth. And the results, when you look online, Google fibroblast, Fibroblast. Yeah, fibroblast. Anyway, when you look at the results, like the before and after, like you can do it literally anywhere in your body. You could do it on your hands. You can do it on your knees. You can do it like on your crow's feet. You can do it on your eyeballs, on your neck. But if you look at the before and after, like the results are insane from all of these pictures. It really is like this. It's like a non-surgical facelift because it tightens up and lifts the skin. Again, I'm not a doctor, but I do know it like stimulates collagen and blah, 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 blah. And so I looked into doing it, and I found somebody in Pittsburgh who does it, which is a little hard because most of the time we don't have like cutting edge beauty in Pittsburgh. And I thought I'd have to fly to LA, but I found someone in Pittsburgh who did it. And I was like, ooh, I want to do this. I feel like my neck is wrinkly, I feel like, I shouldn't say my neck is wrinkly. I feel like my neck betrays my age, if that's, a good way to put it. And it's wrinkly from years of just being like in the sun. I'm not the best with sunscreen. And no matter how thin I am or how much I work out, I have a little bit of a weird double chin. I think it's just age and, I don't know, gravity. And then my eyes are a little bit droopier as I've aged. Gravity again. So I was like, I'm going to do this fibroblast. Then I don't need to get Botox in my forehead to lift my eyes. I was like talking myself into it for all of these reasons. And I was like, it has minimal downtime. It doesn't seem painful. So I went. I made the appointment and I went. And the technician said, okay, you have to be here 45 minutes early to put the numbing cream on. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty standard. So we numbed my neck, and then we started to numb like the area of my face that I wanted done. And she started on my neck, and she's like, oh, you're going to smell the burning flesh. And I'm like, what? Like I didn't quite realize that I would be burning my flesh, which is totally my fault for not realizing like what exactly the procedure did. And I was like, oh, that's fine. I mean, oftentimes like even laser hair removal, you can smell like the singed hair, if you will. So she started doing the treatment on my neck after I had been numbed for 45 minutes. And I have a pretty high pain tolerance. I really, really do. Like I had 2 C-sections with my girls, and I took Tylenol. Like I didn't even take whatever. I think they actually prescribed me like OxyContin at the time when Chloe was born because it was the early 2000s. But I don't like things like that. It makes me sick. So I was like, I'll just take Tylenol. And I was fine. I mean, it was painful, sure, but it wasn't like awful. So I have a pretty big pain tolerance. And as she was doing my neck, I was literally crawling out of my skin. I was like, blah! Every single time she would hit me with the little thing, and your neck is a big area. And I had to have her keep stopping. And she was like, I've never had anyone react this way. And she's like, I don't know, like if my numbing cream isn't effective on you. She's like, nobody else can feel this. Again, it was a very individual thing because I read online, nobody has pain. Everyone's like, it was totally pain-free, blah, blah, blah. I wanted to frickin' die. I literally wanted to die. I was like crying by the end of it. And then I'm covered in these little red speckles. And I'm really swollen. So I did the tops of my eyes and then I did my neck. And I look like the Elephant Man. Like my eyes are swollen. Claire's like, I can't look at you. You're so gross. Which, listen, like that's Claire being 11. So again, I blame myself. Like I didn't research this shit enough. And the results are starting to kind of like show a little bit. And I'm like, ooh, my eyebrows look better. Like, lifted, whatever. We'll see in a couple of weeks. But I don't know why it hurt me. It doesn't hurt anyone else. But the results are unbelievable. It wasn't that expensive. I think I just had a poor reaction to it. I really do. So I am sitting here very grateful today that this is a podcast and not a video because you would have to turn this off immediately if you could see me. You would be like, bleh. I can't look at Christy. So I'm wondering how I'm supposed to talk to these sororities later today. So I may need to reschedule. I'm just saying. So I would like to take a moment to discuss a very important holiday that is almost upon us, and that is Mother's Day. Yes, Mother's Day. Hi, May 9th, Chloe, Clara, if you're listening. So Mother's Day is coming up, and I actually have the perfect gift recommendation, either for your mom, someone you love, or even yourself. I mean, because we could all use a little gift, right? And that is Ana Luisa Jewelry. That's ANA Luisa. So right now there's a sale going on for 15% of all products. And if you order by Wednesday, May 5th, they are guaranteed to arrive before Mother's Day, again, May 9th, with standard shipping. Now, a few things that I love about Ana Luisa is, first of all, the pieces are so very beautiful. They're very dainty, they're chic, they're timeless, they're ethically crafted. So 100% of all the carbon emissions related to the product's life cycles are offset, which is amazing. They offer fair prices. Everything starts at $39, so there's no luxury markup, but it's still exceptional quality. So they're made from the best noble metals available, and there's a 365-day warranty. Plus, how much do you love that there is a new jewelry collection released every Friday? Have I mentioned it's 15% off right now? Ana Luisa, ANALUISA. So I absolutely think there is something spectacular there that you can treat your mom to, that you can put on your wish list, or look, even just by yourself, because we all deserve to treat ourselves every once in a while, right? So I'm going to link the store and the website for you in the show notes, but go to analuisa.com/Christy's Couch MD. Go treat yourself and your loved ones and use my code Christy's Couch MD to get 15% off. I absolutely recommend them. They're such a great brand making beautiful, sustainable jewelry. So go check out analuisa.com/Christy's Couch MD and use code Christy's Couch MD. Happy Mother's Day. What else do I have going on? Oh my God. Okay. So I have a really funny story, and then we will get into the interview of the week. Okay. So Clara, we were driving to the mall the other day. I was taking her to get her ears pierced, which is an odyssey in and of itself because Clara has had her ears pierced like 5 times. And for some weird reason, every time we go to change Clara's earrings after her ears are pierced, you can't get an earring back in. Like, you just cannot do it. I mean, maybe it's like a user issue. I don't know. But this has gone on for years. And so we're like, okay, this is the time. We're going to make it stick. But anyway, so I was taking her to get her ears pierced, blah, blah, blah. And we're driving along. It's a beautiful day. The sunroof's open. We're listening to Blondie because I introduced her to Blondie and she's like into it. And for some reason, I don't know why I even brought it up. I mean, Clara obviously like pays a lot of attention to TikTok. She's 11. But for some reason, I said something about having a viral TikTok sound of myself. And she's like, what are you talking about? And I was like, oh yeah, there's a viral TikTok sound of me and Kelly and I, but me and Kelly. And I said, yeah, we recreated it on my TikTok not long ago. And she's like, well, what's the sound? And I said, oh, it's where I say, and then there were 2. Nobody likes us. And Kelly goes, yeah, just the 2 bitches are left. And then we cackle. We like literally cackle like 2 old like biddies. And Clara almost lost her mind. I wish I could have videoed her reaction. She was like, oh my God, what? And she like starts panicking and writhing in the car. And I'm like, dude, what's happening? And she's like, oh my God. She's like, I quote that on the daily. And I was like, wait, you say just the 2 bitches are left? And she's like, no. She said, I always say, and then there were 2. She's like, I see it on TikTok all the time. And I said, Clara, that's me. And she's like, oh my God. And she's like, I can't believe I'm quoting my mother. And she's like, everybody at school probably thinks that I know, and I think I'm cool, and I'm not cool, and I'm just so humiliated. And she was like totally humiliated and didn't want to discuss it and was just like, bleh. That's the third time I frickin' made this noise in this podcast. Sorry. So she then proceeded to tell me she was like going through the 7 stages of grief and she's just traumatized. And why can't I be a normal mom? And why did I have to be on a TV show and ruin her life? And just a lot of drama. So yeah. So my TikTok trending sound has traumatized Clara and she will need therapy coming up very soon about it. So that's me. That's me being a mom. All right. So this week, I thought it would be really, really interesting to talk to someone who, I know we do a little spiritual things on here. Like obviously last week I had Michaela reading Dance Mom's Auras, which if you haven't listened to that episode, definitely go back and listen to it. But this week, when I talked to Sarah Rice a few weeks ago about dealing with relationships in quarantine, she had mentioned that her mom is a psychic. And I was like, I need to talk to your mom because she's also like a medium. And so Sally Rice was gracious enough to come on Christy's couch and have a full conversation with me about just her gifts and how she sees the world. And she has some really amazing tips for manifesting and also manifesting what you want out of your life, which, we all need that. And also just some tips for like paying attention to signs from loved ones in your past. So Sally is currently, she's originally from California and now she lives in Costa Rica, and she is a psychic medium. And she's like verified, invested, and tested and all of those things. But she believes in the principles of, I can't remember. She will explain it exactly, the way that she practices her psychic gifts and what it's based in. And I love this interview so much because I feel like we had actual solid takeaways for you, the listener. And I'm really excited for you. Like, get a pen and paper out because there's some really helpful tips. Put it on a piece of paper, stick it on your computer to remind yourself, because we all need to manifest our best life possible, don't we? Okay, so without further ado, let's welcome Sally to the couch. Why, hello, Sally. I'm so excited to have you visiting Christy's couch this week. Thank you. I know you're calling, or we're speaking all the way from, you're in Costa Rica, right?
I am in Costa Rica on the Gold Coast in the town of Tamarindo on the north of the Guanacaste Peninsula.
Oh my gosh. How did you end up there? That sounds like the dream.
Well, it is a dream. I came here just for 2 weeks. With a backpack full of 5 changes of clothes, all I needed, because I was just coming for 2 weeks 11 years ago.
And you never left.
So I never left because I actually did get a message from my spirit guide saying very specifically, you are not leaving, you're here to do the work. And I had no idea what that was at the time, and lo and behold, it ended up like that. So here we are.
Wow.
Yeah.
So did you even go back to pack, or did you just literally stay with 5 changes of clothes?
I did not go home for a year.
Oh, wow.
I didn't go home for a year. And when I did eventually go home, I went just to liquidate, sell my house, get rid of all of my belongings, sell everything, and then come back.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's actually really amazing. I don't think most people would be able to do that. I think most people would be too afraid of something that bold and dramatic. I personally am a little jealous of that. I think that's amazing. So, but that's kind of just me. Okay. So I have lots of questions for you because, as my listeners know, I am very, very much in touch with things or people or just concepts or ideas, shall we say, that are a little bit more abstract, I guess, if you're just talking about like, and I'm using air quotes, like what the traditional thoughts are. And I mean, obviously you are a psychic medium, which I've introduced the audience. They know that, but I do have a question about that. So your Spirit Foundation is in shamanic, am I saying that right? Shamanic? How do you say it? Traditions?
Correct. Yes.
Okay. What does that mean?
Okay. So we have religions. We have the world religions, right?
Sure.
Everybody can name them off and all of that. Prior to man-made religions, there was always indigenous tribes around the world going back thousands and thousands of years of people who studied and were in connection with nature. In other words, tapping into the energy of the planet, tapping into the energy of the cosmos organically and naturally, because we're all psychic. Everyone here is psychic. It just means your connection to the energies that are around us. And therefore, the shamanic tradition says, encapsulated in sort of the dogma, is we are all one because we're all connected, and we're connected through natural energies. And that, if you accept that concept, then we can work in healing. We can work to connect to one another because that's innate within the design of the universe. So it predates religions, and it is most well known in the Amazon and, again, with the indigenous tribes. But the philosophy of shamanism, i.e. oneness and connection to spirit, is a global concept that, again, predates all known religions and is known as shamanism.
Interesting. Okay. Well, I mean, I think it makes sense to feel that you're connected to the earth. I think a lot of people practice things like grounding and, trying to be in touch with nature. And I think that you're just presenting it in a different sentence. I think that a lot of us know these things. We just don't realize that we know them, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. I have to tell you about an amazing new service I found called FrameBridge. FrameBridge makes it super easy and affordable to frame your favorite things, from art prints and posters to all the travel photos sitting on your phone. With Mother's Day right around the corner, FrameBridge also makes the perfect gift. In fact, select gifts ship next day. So here's how it works. You just go to framebridge.com and upload your photo. Or they'll send you packaging to safely mail in your physical pieces. Then you preview your item online in dozens of frame styles and gallery wall layouts. You choose your favorite or get free recommendations from their talented designers. The experts at FrameBridge will custom frame your item and deliver your finished piece directly to your door, ready to hang. Instead of the hundreds that you pay at the framing store, their prices start at $39 and all shipping is free. Plus, my listeners will get 15% off their first order at framebridge.com when they use my code COUCH. So when Chloe was moving into her new apartment, she really, really wanted a gallery wall. And we had found a ton of amazing art pieces on Etsy that she loved. And she really wanted to frame them all to match and to kind of give this cohesive vibe. And she had a very specific look in mind. So we went on FrameBridge and we used the Rosemont gold frame along with the thicker white mat to kind of give all of her pieces a cohesive look. And the way this gallery wall turned out was gorgeous. I actually get asked about it all the time. And after I saw the way all of these pieces came, they were so, so well made. I mean, just the way that they were put together and just the quality of the pieces. It was like high end feeling and vibe. I actually went back and had pieces framed for my home as well after, Chloe inspired me. So FrameBridge has absolutely been a huge part of like the Lucasiak family home decor in the last 2 years. And I have recommended them to literally everyone. It is the best service, and you will be astounded by how beautiful these prints are framed. So you can get started today. Frame your photos or send someone the perfect gift. All you need to do is go to framebridge.com and use promo code COUCH to save an additional 15% off your order, your first order, that is. Just go to framebridge.com, promo code COUCH, framebridge.com, promo code COUCH. You can thank me later. Okay, so I think this is the question that I would think is on most of my listeners' minds. And that is, how did you realize, I know you said we're all psychic, but when you said that, I kind of like raised my eyebrow. I'm like, am I really psychic? I mean, like I can feel certain things sometimes. But how did you really, at one point in your life, were you like, oh, okay, I'm psychic. Like, was it something that you realized? Is it something that you always knew? When did that epiphany occur for you, if you will? Oh, look at me using religious terms.
Sure. No, the very truly the best way to explain it is to give you this example. And I only know my truth. I can only express to you what I know as my life experience.
Yeah.
Okay. People have all different experiences, but this is mine.
1,000%. And I say that all the time. Like, I have no idea how somebody else feels. All I can tell you is in my brain, this is what it is. And so that's my truth. Yeah,
exactly. So when I was about 6 months old, because I could sit up, but I could not walk. I was sitting in diapers on my dining room floor in my house. And I was contemplating with the awareness that I have today, in other words, my consciousness that is eternal, because our consciousness has no beginning and no end, and the seat of our consciousness is in our heart. It never goes away. But when we're tapped into that, I was sitting there at 6 months old with the awareness of my prior life, of where I had come from, that I was in the spirit world recently, and that I had come to earth in this incarnation for the purpose of resolving an issue with my mother. And that soul contract that we wrote together had been designed recently when we were in the Hall of Souls, and I was so excited to get to it. And in that moment, while I was contemplating my life in the Hall of Souls prior to incarnating as in the body of this little girl named Sally, and I was going, oh yeah, when I was up in there, and then I came here, and now Mom is going to come in, and we're going to do this work together. And at that moment, my mother, who was about 35 years old, she walked down the stairs and into the space that I was, and I looked at her in the eyes, and I went, oh no, she's fallen asleep. She doesn't remember. And I saw the blanket expression in her mind, in her eyes, that looked to me kind of like sleepwalking. Like I knew she'd forgotten the story. And so I was so frustrated at that moment. I was like, oh, she forgot. So our relationship over 99 years of her life of expressing the contract came to an end when she was 99 years old on her deathbed. She crossed over on her birthday at her birth time. She was an atheist. Anything in our whole contract actually ended up being fulfilled on her birthday at 99 years old. Didn't know it at the time when I was 6 months, but that was the beginning of my awareness of the other lifetimes, that I was a spiritual being having a human incarnation. And I have all my entire life always seen spirits, always been in touch with my spirit guides. They speak to me. I have seen ghosts, what people call ghosts, spirits ever. And I wasn't really shut down until I was 12, 13. And I remember I was on a bus, a double-decker bus in London with my sister. I was 12, and I was stopping people, very precocious young girl, but I wouldn't let people onto the bus until I guessed their astrological sign. So it's like, you're an Aquarian. And my sister was like, Sally, what are you doing? And at that point, I realized that it was wrong, that people were like, what is this kid? But to answer your question in a nutshell, my whole life, I thought everybody saw spirits. I thought everybody knew we reincarnated. This was college, my truth. And I was really surprised when I grew up and found that it was quite different.
Interesting. So so when you say you see and talk to spirits and spirit guides, like, do they look like people, or do they have a different look about them?
I'm so glad you asked that question, because people tend to drop everything in the metaphysical spiritual world into one bucket. In other words, they think, oh, well, there's either the 3D world, that which we can see with our own eyes, and then there's everything in the spirit world that's the same. No. That's not it. There's so many different kinds of spirits. There's ethereal spirits. There's your spirit guides. There's ghosts. There's trapped energy, and everything in between. It is as complex as the world that you look outside with your own two eyes now. And it's that deep and that significant. But here's the answer quickly. I can see spirits that do look like people that have been trapped in a time zone or in a situation and present themselves as their human bodies. My daughter, Sarah, I know you interviewed her recently,
yes.
but she was a witness along with her brothers of when I had a vision of a little boy who had been kidnapped, who came to me. He was about 12 years old, and he appeared to me as a human. I had a conversation with him, and then I went into the car where my children were sitting and waiting for me, because that happened at the exit of Denny's while we were on our way to Mammoth, and I'm like sitting there waiting to pay the bill, and this boy is there like, "What are you doing here? And where are your parents?" And we're having this conversation. Then when I got back in the car with my kids, they're like, "Mom, who were you talking to? Because no one was there." And I'm like, "Okay."
Interesting.
So that was one. But I also have communication from my spirit guides. Like I said, when I was, in Costa Rica, and I'm walking down the street thinking I'm here for 2 weeks and I'm going to get out of this, crazy town. And the spirit guide says, "No, you're here to do the work." And I'm like, "What?" So, and then, that same guide, who is my personal guide, who comes to me as a male entity and sits on my left-hand side and speaks in my ear, gave me my first direction when I was 4.5 years old in preschool, and I was talking to a girlfriend named Nancy, because Nancy had an argument with Janice, and they were fighting, and I was there to intervene and counsel Nancy. And as I was counseling her and telling her what Janice really meant about the fight, spirit guide, that same male, said, "This is the work you're supposed to do." And I'm like, "What? What work? What are you talking about?" I did not know that I was actually giving a psychic reading when I was 4.5 to help these two people resolve their conflict. I was just seeing and telling them what I saw because I thought everybody saw that. So there you go.
Wow. That's really interesting, because I feel like so often, and I'm sure this is something that I'm not the first person to bring up. I feel so often that children are in tune with spirits or entities from the other side until a certain age, when they kind of shut down and then their brains don't process that. I think that's a lot of times when people have imaginary friends when they're little. I think they really are at times seeing people that we just as adults are like, "Oh no, that's their imagination." But could it be something else?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And that's why the Jesuits, the great, educators within the Catholic Church, said, "Give us your children for the first 7 years and they will be Jesuits for life." Because for the first 7 years of life, our brains are in theta mode, which is very altruistic and basically on the recording mode. They're very sensitive, but recording all this data in a different mental state. And then once we get to 7, 8 years old, we develop our critical thinking skills. That's why also people say, never tease a little child who's less than 7, because they're going to believe exactly what you say, because they're in the receptive way. They're receiving information. So absolutely, they're totally connected with the spirit world. And that's why the University of Virginia, who is the #1 founding center for reincarnation research in the world, that most of their cases and globally are with children from 1 to 5 years old. And we have thousands and thousands of documented cases where they have proven the existence of pre-lives and validated those children's stories.
Good.
And it's all in documentary films. So correct. Yes. The first 7 years when all of that magic happens, and then the 3D world we start to get swallowed by our parents' philosophy or education, or, we forget our connection to God.
Mm-hmm.
So that's what it was. Wake it up. It's just asleep.
Interesting. I agree with all of that. I really do. And I have heard so many I obviously I'm very interested in this type of thought because I listen to a lot of different podcasts and I've read a million different stories. Okay, so we're going to take a brief pause and we are going to talk about something that I think is super important, or at least it was something that definitely affected my life. So who remembers sex ed? We all do, right? So back in the day, we learned to prevent pregnancy at all costs. Anyone remember that banana demonstration? Okay, is it just me that's still traumatized? Because I really, truly am. But when it comes to planning for pregnancy, it's still a bit of a mystery, right? But it's time to take a new type of education that puts your reproductive goals front and center. So that's why Modern Fertility was created. It's an easy and affordable way to test your fertility hormones at home with just a simple finger prick. You mail it in with a prepaid label, and you'll get your personalized results within 10 days. Normal traditional testing with your doctor can cost over $1,000, but Modern Fertility only costs $159 to get the same information. And if you go to modernfertility.com/couch, you can get $20 off your test. And if you have HSA or FSA, you can use those dollars on Modern Fertility. So you'll get insight into how many eggs you have, hormone levels, and other important fertility factors. The results go deep into what every hormone means, and you can also talk one-on-one with a fertility nurse to review your results and options for a next step. So if you want kids today, or maybe one day in the future, you need information to make the decision that's right for you. So right now, Modern Fertility is offering our listeners $20 off the test when you go to modernfertility.com/couch. That means your test will cost $139 instead of hundreds or thousands that it would cost you at a doctor's office. So get $20 off your fertility test when you go to modernfertility.com/couch. modernfertility.com/couch. I know that you have a connection, and I'm not going to remember the exact name of it, but there was the Netflix show. It wasn't Understanding Death.
Surviving Death.
What was it?
Surviving
Death.
Great.
Yes. So I just watched that, and some of it I was just like blown away by.
Yeah. But you know why it's a really good series is because it's scientifically based, and yay,
yes,
for all of us who chose to incarnate now, that we are living in the time when science and spirituality collide, and now we speak the same language. So the metaphysical world and sort of this new science of physics, we're letting go of reductive materialism and that antiquated thought that the world and the universe is separate energies, that, you know, what is here on Earth is different in the cosmos. No, it's now the same system. So that's why we're so lucky to be able to all experience our psychic talents and gifts and develop them, because it's actually now been proven that they do exist. So once the brain, what we call the lower self, the brain agrees that this is indeed possible, then people can open that door. Their own abilities can emerge because we give it permission to do so.
Okay, so that sounds a lot like you're speaking about manifesting, correct? Is that sort of when you say open the door? And I know you and I spoke about that a little bit, but I do know that there is so much talk, and it's a very buzzword, and it's become acceptable for people to be like, I'm manifesting this right now. But I can speak to far before the book The Secret came out, far before manifesting was like a trendy word on social media, I can remember, and I wish I could go back and talk to my grandparents now that I'm older and I have different points of view, because I can remember them, and they were very open to, they were both raised Catholic, very like old school, like from the old country, Catholic grandmother, all of that. But later in life, she totally put all of that aside. And both my grandparents became much more in tune with reincarnation and believing in just a different way of thinking. And I can remember her speaking to me all the time. If you want something, envision every bit of it. Like, think of all of it. She's like, if you want a white car in your driveway, I'm just using that as an example. She's like, imagine it sitting there. She's like, picture it. You're walking up to it. You're getting into it. It wasn't just like, wish I want a white car, like when you blow out your birthday candles.
Right. Yay, Grandma.
Yeah. So she was telling me about manifesting before it was called manifest. Although I do think, if I think back really hard, I do think she was saying things like, you need to manifest that. But I was young and didn't understand. And I was just like, and then I know when the book, The Secret, came out, that really is manifesting, correct? I don't know much about that book, but I remember it was like a big Oprah book that everyone was like, oh, we have this power. But it almost feels like what you're saying is we're kind of like Dorothy in The Wizard of Oz. Like, we've had the power all along. We just didn't know we had it.
100%. And actually, the art of manifestation is actually rooted in all of these gifts and talents that we all innately have, that we're now describing with vocabulary that sometimes buzzwords and all of that, and flavor of the week as the humanity evolves. But the foundation of that awareness is in shamanic tradition, because the idea of manifesting and knowing that you can requires that you understand that we're living in a matrix, that we can manipulate the world we live in, that it is a dream state, that it is not a solid world, that in fact, we now know this scientifically, that if you took all of the matter that's in the 3D world, all in the universe, and condensed it and took away all of the empty space, the Higgs field, the dark field, the vacuum, all of these words, again, almost buzzwords. But if you removed all of the empty space, it would represent only 4.9% of reality. And the rest of it, the 95.1, is that magical space where all matter and all things are happening. We want to tap into that 95.1, actually want to live there, thinking in our mentality, in our mental landscape, that we are constantly focusing on the 95.1%, so that we can visualize that which we want to bring into the 3D world, the 4.9. But where people get hung up on manifesting is they think in terms of the 4.9%, they're focusing on the 3D world. Ooh, I don't have this. I want it. I want this. I want that white car in my driveway, and I don't have. But actually, when you feel the energy of want, it actually tells the universe, I don't have it. It means lack, because if you had it, you wouldn't want it, right? If you had it, you wouldn't want it. So when your grandma says, visualize the car in your driveway, what you're really doing is seeing the present in terms of the past, because the universe doesn't know linear time. But if you take your manifestation, whatever you want to bring into the 3D world, and present it to the universe with an energetic frequency, i.e. feeling, not fear-based, ooh, I want it, I don't have it, woe is me, but I have it. In other words, it has already occurred. I am in a future state of abundance, looking to the past, of being in gratitude for what has presented itself. Therefore, I'm mentally catapulting myself into a future state of already having it, which is working with the universe in the most positive way. And therefore, any fear, any ideas that contain fear, worry, or doubt, again, any thoughts that contain fear, worry, or doubt are actually,
repelling things.
Repelling and holding us in place and keeping us from moving forward. So that's how you manifest. Manifesting just doesn't mean, I'm going to think about it and wish it were here. That's actually the antithesis of manifesting. That's keeping you in a state of lack.
Okay, so you can't wish for things. You have to act as though they're already here. You have to see it and feel like it's already happening to you. So if something that you want, you have to visualize that it's already part of your world. Am I understanding correctly?
100%. But it's deeper than that. Because if you think with your brain, people think, manifestation means think about it. No. Nope. The brain does not control the vehicle. Okay? Once again, the brain does not control the vehicle. What is the vehicle? It's your physical, spiritual body. You are a spiritual being having a human incarnation. The brain is the motor of your vehicle, but the true driver of the vehicle is your heart space. That's your true awareness. So when you talk about manifesting, we can't think about it. That's giving too much power to the brain. The brain's job is to just make thoughts. It doesn't have feelings. We want to feel with our heart space the true driver of the vehicle. We want to feel the energy of abundance. I feel that car in my driveway. Oh, I love it. It makes me feel so happy to look out the window and look at my car. Ooh, I feel the energy of joy. I feel it in my heart that I have it. If you just think, oh yeah, there's a car in my driveway and I like it, but it's not backed up with the energy of the feeling, which is the fuel to make that engine go and manifest it truly. Without the emotion that is the great fuel, your rocket ship isn't going anywhere. You're just going to sit there with your thoughts. but thoughts do not manifest. The feeling behind it that supports the thought is going to lead to manifestation.
So you need feelings to manifest. Feelings are fuel.
100%. If not, you might as well just go do something else.
I'm actually writing that down and putting it next to my computer. Feelings are the fuel to manifesting. I think that is a brilliant, great reminder. So listen, everyone, repeat that to yourselves again. Feelings are the fuel to manifesting. You have to feel it with your heart, not your brain. So there.
The brain works for the heart. The brain works for the heart. The feeling comes first, and then you want to train your brain to attach a thought to it that matches the feeling. In other words, let's just start at basics. So if I have a feeling of fear, worry, and doubt, that comes from your ego self, your lower self, and is hogwash. Any feelings of fear, worry, doubt, we want to hit the delete button, cancel. Okay? Now, we need to feel from love, from joy, from abundance. And then we need to train our brain because, again, the brain works for me. I don't work for the brain. Mm-hmm. Brain works for me. Who am I? I'm a heart-centered person. I'm going to be in my spiritual world. So I'm going to make my brain that works for me make thoughts, produce thoughts that are in alignment with what my heart wants to manifest. So my brain must be in alignment. And usually it takes about 30 days if you are a prisoner of your thoughts. A lot of people who listen to the thoughts get stuck because they forget that your thoughts are not the driver of the vehicle. It's the motor. You have to step out of the vehicle, pop the hood, just that thought process, and then get back and take control of your life, meaning live from the heart, only think about things that you want to bring in. And if you have the danger of fear, worry, doubt, thought that creeps in, hit the delete, take a pause, go take a walk, put your feet in nature, get centered again, get grounded again, and move forward with the same energy, always from the heart. And then you'll make your life joyful, things will come to you, and you'll live happily ever after. Except when hard things come, you'll be able to embrace them with a joy of knowing that you're still going to experience Earth School in a feeling of abundance.
Okay,
and that's probably more than.
Well, no, but I'm taking notes because, so 30 days to free your brain. So I guess you have to just keep in check, like fear, worry, or doubt. If you see those things or feel those things, then you need to stop, realign what you're thinking. Maybe, like you said, go for a walk, all of that type of thing, just to get yourself out of that thought process. Is that how I'm reprogramming or freeing my brain? I want to make sure I'm a good student. I'm a good student, Sally. I take good notes.
And I always ask my clients to tape record these sessions,
Well, you're in luck because this is being tape recorded.
Right. But I mean, because you information comes in. I'm just like a radio, right?
Right.
And Spirit's going to say blah, 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 and it comes out. Once we can truly be free of our own thoughts and live from the heart, then the magic really happens. And they say, oh, it's a miracle, or, oh, it's so serendipitous, or my luck. Well, no, you're in alignment. That's when the biblical reference and the seas parted is in reference to once the head and the heart are in alignment, you are good to go. Watch your world change. Watch yourself manifest your dreams. It's awesome.
Okay. I need to go through and do this. I'm actually going to put it on my calendar and count 30 days and just be actively participating in this and not just think about it and then put it aside and be like, oh, I forgot to do it. I really want to do this. Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Love that. Okay. So you talk a lot about the science backing it up now. Is there any great examples? Because I know I can tell you right now, my husband listens to this and he, myself and my children are very open to psychics and being in touch with the universe and just nature. My older daughter calls herself a spiritual hippie, but my husband's a little bit more grounded in, traditional thinking. And so he's always a little skeptical. So to him, science speaks volumes. So is there any great concrete example that off the top of your head where science has supported the things that inherently and that you've seen since you were that 6-month-old little baby?
Infinity, 100%.
All right.
Okay. Be clear. I am a major skeptic, major.
Fair.
And I came from a family of engineers and professors who said anything metaphysical is absolute hogwash, baloney.
Sure.
Okay, so I get it. So my favorites, because I, as a skeptic, and I want to help those who are skeptics and who are, grounded in science. Yay, I love science. My favorite. Here are my top. Number one, a documentary that you can watch for free online if you Google this. It's called The Connected Universe by physicist Nassim Haramein. The Connected Universe. He's the one who came up with the mathematical equation that then was accepted into the Hall of Congress on December 21st, 1212. Imagine that.
Oh,
and
wow.
In the Connected, yeah, he's awesome and he's really cute too. Ooh, eye candy as well. But anyway.
Well, that's a bonus.
Yeah, it's a real bonus. He says in his documentary, he's the one that very clearly explains the 4.9% and the 95.1% and his scientific view as a physicist, telling how the universe is indeed connected, and he has all the scientific proof to work with that's presented in this film very well. It backs up and supports the shamanic traditional teachings. So again, this is where science and spirituality collide. Another resource is, of course, going to YouTube and entering into the header anything produced from the University of Virginia under the direction of Ian Stevenson. Again, they did the most prolific scientifically based research. That means checks and balances, proof
Mm-hmm.
about reincarnation.
Mm-hmm.
We have volumes of information, proof. And in one documentary on near-death experiences and reincarnation, it suggests that our volume of evidence is more than 13 million testimonials of people who have died and been revived, come back to tell their story about what it's like on the other side, across the veil. And so therefore, if we have 13 million testimonies in that field, plus the University of Virginia and their documentation, Life After Life, Raymond Moody did that documentary back in the 80s that, again, he's pretty much the founder, the sort of one of our spiritual guides in reincarnation studies. Again, Dr. Raymond Moody, his documentary, Life After Life, another good one. And last but not least, the Taste de Resistance is the book Proof of Heaven, written by Dr. Eben, E-B-E-N, Alexander, just like the bell. And so Proof of Heaven, Eben Alexander was a Harvard boy, brain surgeon who disbelieved all of these suggestions that there was life after death and boo-hooed all of these near-death experience accounts until he developed a very severe case of spinal meningitis, which gave him less than 1% chance to live. And if he did live, he would be a vegetable, blah, blah, blah. Well, he was clinically dead, brain dead completely for 6 days, came out of that coma and stopped doing brain surgery. Now he travels around the world lecturing on his experience with the afterlife, and his wonderful book, Proof of Heaven. Highly recommend that. And also, if you go on YouTube, you can enter Eben Alexander lecture at the Theosophical Society, and his lecture, which is about an hour and a half long, on his personal experience as a traveler to the other side, is also fascinating. So all of those sources, all scientifically based, no woo-woo, back up the fact that this is real. And yay for that.
I love it. I do. My God, you just rattled them off. So clearly people have asked you this before. I'm not the first.
Passion. It's all I do, morning, noon, and night. It's pretty much the only subject I care to study or listen to or talk about. So it's like a best friend, and I much talk about this, but I also like talking about poetry too, but this is my favorite subject.
This is obviously your passion. Well, I have more questions, but I just have to say, so I was so fascinated, and now as I'm talking to you more, I freaking can't wait to talk to you on Tuesday, because I'm actually doing a private reading with Sally, and I'm like, what are you going to tell me? I'm really excited to hear all of that. So we'll get there.
Do you want me to talk about you right now?
Yeah.
Okay. Do we have a second?
Yeah.
Are you interested?
Yeah, I'm always interested in talking about myself. I'm very much. Of course. Okay.
So here's the deal. We love our astrological charts because they're kind of like giving us a manual to the car we're driving, and Spirit God gave us 3 manuals that I know: the palm of your hand that tells your life story, the iris of your eye, also a map to your beautiful story here at Earth School.
I have to stop you just really quickly. A friend of mine just told me that she had her irises read. I'm like, what are you talking about? So I've heard this, but go on. So your map, your iris, go on. I've heard the iris thing.
Yes, that's iridology. Okay. And then we have, of course, your birth chart. Okay. And we love the birth chart because contained in the birth chart is what is called the North and the South Node. And the North and the South Node give us a really good idea of what we did yesterday and what we're doing today. What do I mean by that? Because you, Christy, are a female, and you were born, you chose to incarnate during the time of COVID. Yay, yay. We all said, ooh, let's reincarnate during the time of COVID. It's going to be fun. Okay. So we all agreed to that. And so yet your life is programmed to do certain things in this incarnation because you are yet a grain of sand being tossed and turned in the ocean of your soul's evolution. But the true you is not the grain of sand. The true you is like the ocean, with all of the grains of sand representing your future lifetimes and past lifetimes. And when we look at the lifetime known as Christy, that one grain of sand, map is in your astrological birth chart, we can see what you did yesterday, i.e. what your last lifetime was. Because this lifetime, as Christy, is only a day in the spiritual journey of your soul that has no beginning and no ending. And yesterday is your past life, and today is your present life. And in the astrological birth chart, we can recognize that energy through your North Node and your South Node. In other words, your North Node is what you're doing and where you're going in this lifetime, and your South Node is what you did yesterday in your past life. So if you imagine, if yesterday in my last lifetime I ran a marathon and my life was really, really, really busy, and I, ran up and swam, and today probably I want to take a rest because yesterday I ran a marathon, tired. Okay, so when I look at your North Node and your South Node, yesterday, Christy, yesterday in your immediate past life, you have Virgo energy. Okay, you're a Virgo. Your South Node is in Virgo, and that Virgo is a very hard taskmaster. Virgo energy is very Earth dominant. It loves the 3D world. It loves Earth, and in fact, I always call Virgos the engineers of the zodiac. And in fact, if I needed a building book, I would want my contractor, my designer, my engineer to be a Virgo, because Virgos don't like mistakes. They look at Virgo where they're very detailed. Okay, so that's where you came from yesterday. That's what you did yesterday.
Yeah, that's not who I am.
You've been a doctor or an engineer. Okay, so then you come into this lifetime and you're tired. You did that whole big jaunt as the CEO yesterday. Today, you want a totally different experience, and that we find in our North Node. And guess what, my darling? Your North Node is also in Pisces, okay? So your chart is Pisces dominant. We're going to talk about that when we do your session, and you're free to record it and share anything. I don't care. I mean, it's for you. It's your personal thing. But Pisces is the psychic energy and the creative energy of the zodiac. So yesterday you were taskmaster doing all this big, I'm get the job done, build that building. And then today you're like, ooh, I want to look at the stars. I want to have fun. I want to focus on religion. And I want to talk about it. And I just want to, ooh, that's fun. I just want to dream. And I want to think and be happy. That's the Pisces energy. So you see, we flip. We can get an idea of where we're going and what we're doing in this lifetime. And you'll see when we talk about your birth chart and how you're wired, i.e. we're looking at the motor of your car. Then when we know your birth chart and we know what your qualities are and how you designed your vehicle, you very easily can separate that which is you, i.e. your heart and your spiritual being, i.e. the ocean, and what is of your car, i.e. the grain of sand that does not know the true story, because the brain doesn't know. The brain only records information from this incarnation. So therefore, we are able to separate the two. Much easier to step out of that headspace when it does go into fear, worry, and doubt, because you are not that. You are not your brain. Your brain's just like the motor of the car. We don't get mad at our vehicle if we break down on the side of the road. We call a mechanic. So therefore, you're free and you can know, ooh, I should probably chill in this lifetime because yesterday I was a Virgo and today I'm a Pisces.
Love that. Because when you said you're opposite of your energy, yes, no, I'm not a Virgo for sure. I am not the taskmaster. No, nothing about me is. No,
but today there is. In this new lifetime, yesterday you had that, but today you're expressing the ocean energy, spirit energy as Pisces, which is the antithesis of Virgo. That's why in this lifetime, it should be full of magical experiences because you designed it that way.
I love magical experiences. Okay, good. I hope I have lots coming up because I really would love more. I've had some. I feel like I can name a few, but I'd love a magical experience. See, that's who I am. I hope I did a good job designing them as a Virgo so I can enjoy them as a Pisces.
Absolutely. Well, actually, the Virgo is just another grain of sand. It's not the true you, right?
Got it.
It's just the express life you lived yesterday, but you are always the ocean, which is you're always, that's why we say, well, just trust your gut. Just trust your instinct, because your instinct is your connection to the ocean energy that knows all of you. That's why it's called the higher self. And I could go on and on about your birth chart or whatever you want to look at. So you hold the talking stick. We can talk about anything you want, Christy.
Well, I do want to ask questions. Obviously I love talking about myself, but I do love that we gave the listeners a few things that they can apply to their life. I love the idea of, listening, or the feelings or the fuel to manifesting in the 30 days to free your brain. Like, I like giving people actual concrete things that they can take away. But I do want to ask you a few questions. Again, going back to your earlier statement, you said we're all psychic and we all have these powers, but I want to talk for a minute because I know one thing that I talked with Sarah about that really resonated with me. And I think a lot of people have experiences like this. They just don't recognize them, is seeing signs from the other side. And I know sometimes people will be like, well, they'll just like come up with something in their brain and they're like, a butterfly is my dog, whatever, saying hello. But I do think that there are things that are absolutely signs from the other side. And I would love to talk about that because I think that's really fascinating. And it makes sense to me. Like, why wouldn't our loved ones still be around?
Okay. Well, I guarantee they're around. I know this personally. Okay, let's also talk about the difference between knowing and believing.
Okay.
So in a real simple expression, do you know you love your children, or you do believe you love your children?
Are you asking me? Oh, I was going to say, wait, I think I like my kids. No, you know that, of course.
Like, of course. It's like, duh. Okay, and then you look outside the window and you go, do I know the sun is shining, or do I believe the sun is shining? Well, of course you know that it's right there. There's the sun. There's sunshine. Okay, so when we talk about the metaphysical world and the spiritual world, I know this is true because I've seen it too many times. And yes, spirits are everywhere in so many forms. And the first thing to do is understand, and that's why I love Nassim Haramein and the connected universe, because once you get the science, your brain agrees to, ooh, I guess it is true. Then all of a sudden that opens the doors for spirit to have its way with you. And the first thing to understand is that the spirit world, everything is connected. So that means nature is, and we are all one. We're one organism having a collective moment that's called life. Okay? And spirits who are in another dimension, they're here, but we can't see them because the way the human experience is we for the most part, block that out so we can experience Earth School, and we shut the vision, shut the door to the seeing spirits all the time, unless, of course, you cultivate it. But spirit is always speaking to us through nature, okay? And when people, I saw my grandmother came as a butterfly. Hell yeah. Oh, yes, she did. And they do it all the time. They do it all the time. That's why in the shamanic tradition, you start your ceremonies by blessing and acknowledging the elements of the directions, north, south, east, and west, and the heaven. They all have energies that direct different aspects of our life, and we can call in energetic spirits, and our relatives can use those pathways that are eternally there and common knowledge to anyone who's not prisoner of the 3D world, because spirit is constantly talking to us. And if we go into agreement to connect to a loved one, or to say, okay, yes, I am open to receiving connection, that will happen. But I'll tell you where it shuts down. Okay. And where people get, and this is a real big thing, which is a roadblock which interferes with people's faith. And that is someone dies. Okay. Someone you love dies, and you fall into that stage of painful grief. Right. And let's be reminded, the level of your grief is on a scale, and it's equal to the level of your love. So if you love somebody really big, your grief is going to be really big. They're equal. Grieving is a frequency that represents how much you love someone that now is on the other side. Okay. Aww. So you're in grief, okay, and you're suffering, and you're mad at God. Because why did they take this person away? Or why is this story like, I don't like this story? If there is a spirit there, and if you are really here, show yourself. I want a sign. And you order the universe to show you something. Let's get back to that talk about manifestation. Remember when I told you can't manifest with an idea, it has to come from a feeling? Right. Well, when you sit there and yell to God, or get angry at the universe because something took your loved one away, and you're so pissed off, and you're angry and mad, and you say, show yourself, what you're really telling the universe is no. You're saying, I'm not connected. I am in painful suffering, and I'm mad at you, and I want to prove you wrong or right, and so show yourself. That energy there is very dark. Right. It's sad, and it's not in alignment with the head and the heart. They're not, because you're suffering. What we want, and so then you're not going to get a sign, and then you're going to say, oh, see, there's no, oh, see, that's all baloney. Oh, see. No. Start over. Okay, back to square one. I am grieving. I am going to allow myself to grieve, and everybody grieves differently, and every flower and every fingerprint on the human species is different and unique, so is your grieving. So allow yourself to do your thing, okay? Don't let anybody tell you how to grieve, by the way. Okay, number 2, we're going to, in our grieving state, go, okay, I miss you so much, Grandma, or I miss you so much, even an animal, doesn't matter, and I am available. I am opening my heart. I am falling back with the trust. Like, you know that exercise, have you ever done in class? Where you fall back and somebody catches you? I fall back into my awareness that there is spirit everywhere. I allow that to be true. Please, I am available. Connect me to my spirit loved ones in any way. And you do it with a state of reverence, of respect, and of availability. You cannot connect with spirit if you're speaking from your head space and you're mad. That is closing the door. They're not going to show up. Okay? But spirits can communicate. They want to. And souls do it all the time. And we, in order to connect to the spirit realm, one of the favorite ways that spirit has is through, of course, nature, because they love birds and they love butterflies, love them. And when one shows up, yes, hell yes. Just allow it to be. Or let's help spirit along. Let's open the door. You see a butterfly come up and it lands right there and you go, I wonder if that's Grandma. You make it so. You say, Grandma, I love you so much. I know you are everywhere. Let's share this moment and talk to each other through this butterfly.
I love that.
I promise you the magic will happen right there. You have to be in alignment with your heart space to let the magic happen. If you don't say, oh, well, I don't know whether that's Grandma, do something. That's no.
Okay.
The universe won't be ordered around. Then the other thing that spirit likes are smells.
Oh.
You might be standing in your living room and like all of a sudden you smell like a flower. What was that? That I guarantee is your spirit guide. Guaranteed.
Really?
So, oh yeah, for sure. The other thing, another thing they like is they like to play with the wind. They love the directions. They love the elements. That's why in the shamanic culture, before you start a ceremony, you give your reverence and you prayer to the elements. You know, earth, fire, wind, air, all of this. We want to allow that to happen because spirit works with the elements. And so, for example, you might be standing in your kitchen with all the windows closed and no draft anywhere possible, and suddenly you feel a little bit of wind pass in front of you. Oh, and it sort of grabs your attention. It kind of like, what was that? And you become aware of spirit. And then you allow yourself, because if you let your mind sleep during these stages and you open your heart to receive the energy from spirit, you help manifest it. So the smells, the wind, the nature through butterflies. And the other thing too, that spirits, well, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. They love electronics.
Oh.
They love electronic phones. I have had 4 different times where a spirit guide, the night before I have a session the next day with a client, the spirit guide will give me a message about that on my phone.
Oh, wow. Well, that's pretty concrete.
Yeah. They'll say, and I could go into great detail about how they do that. But if you ever find that your electronics are doing wacky things, like what spirits can do often is they do work with electricity. So lights going on and off for sure.
100%. I've seen that happen in my life. Like
they love that.
Well, I'll tell this quick story. I mean, when my grandfather passed away, he did not want any sort of a service. He just didn't. He said he doesn't want anything public. He just wanted his family. He wanted it very small, even though he had lots of friends and blah, blah, blah in the community. He did not want that. He did not believe in celebrating like he used to say, like a carcass. He's like, I'm gone, bury me, go have a party and enjoy life. Like he didn't want his body, his physical body to have people like crying over. That was his wishes. And when he passed away, I think it was very shocking, obviously, as anyone when they pass. And we were sitting in my grandparents' house, and my one uncle said to my grandmother, so do we have a funeral? And the lights in the dining room were flicking at that point. We're like, okay, never mind, we hear you. Like, okay, no, we don't have one. And it was like, he said, do we have a funeral? And the lights literally flickered on and off. And we were like, okay, we got it. No funeral.
Right. Yes, absolutely. 100%. 100%. And, so spirit energy is available to everyone. And so much of it has to do with your awareness and allowing it to be so. In other words, knowing that it is real. And in order for the brain to know, because the brain likes facts, get an education. Watch those documentaries. Look at that Netflix series, Surviving Death. It's excellent. And then you're on board with, okay, so this is real. And then you open up the doors for spirit to communicate because, they can and they do. And your belongings, anything that they have that has been passed on to you, the jewelry, box, the letters, the comb, the picture, they all hold energy of that being because, now one more thing for people to realize so that we can tap into the scientific knowledge of how this magic works is to think of the phrase as above, so below. So as in the heavens, so on earth. So now, Christy, you can, with your conscious mind in this moment, if I say, I want you to think back to when your first child was born and what that day looked like. And you can sit and think about that day and relive it in your mind as if it were happening right now. And you can also simultaneously, if I said, while you're imagining that miraculous moment, I want you to think of your baby's first Christmas. And I want you to kind of focus on those two things simultaneously. Your brain can do that, right? No problem. So if you can think of if now you, with that awareness and that ability to be technically in two places at the same time, both at your daughter's first birthday and the birth of your daughter or whatever, and yet you are you in this present moment, that is exactly what spirit can do in the spirit world. So your physical consciousness is like the spirit, okay? And focusing in on visiting as a spiritual visitation to my earthly realm with the people I left behind is like spirit energy, the ocean, choosing to focus and look at that one grain of sand called Christy and to be there in that moment that she's focusing on or that I choose to focus on if she calls me, in the same way that I can relive a memory that's not happening, but feel it and live it in my mind's eye as if I were. Get it?
Okay. Yeah. No, that makes sense for sure. I get it. Now I just have to practice doing it.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's how it's possible for spirit energy to come back and visit, even though they're across the veil, because they are participating in the memory of the experience of being human,
right?
The act of being present in the moment, which manifests in the 3D world as matter, either lights flickering or a smell, things like that, because it's the intention of the spirit to connect.
So I should really believe all the signs that my grandma and papa are around me.
Absolutely.
I feel that they're around me all the time. I see things. I see you guys.
Yes. And she's saying, I sense this energy, but have you noticed that something that either that you like or that she had a connection of an object has been moved?
Yes. But I moved it.
She says she moves. She can move things. So there's something that you're either looking for, an object. It feels like it's small. Can't hold it in your hand, and that it's somehow attached to her. And then you either recently misplaced it or you found it someplace else that you didn't think, and that she wants to express her presence by the ability to actually move matter.
Huh. Okay.
So look for that.
Okay.
Hasn't done it yet. But absolutely, her presence around you. And who's the person with the musical ability?
Musical ability.
One of your children?
No. I mean, music, no. My daughter is a dancer, but she's not a musician. My grandmother was an artist. My other daughter is an artist, but no one with music. Music. Then maybe your daughter's dancing to music, because there's, again, with you and there's all this. It's joyful activity. It's mystical. It's the arts. It's poetry. It's all these things. Music is going to come up some way. Maybe, I'm not sure. Okay. But it's all part of your Pisces energy that your grandmother shares to cultivate in you, which is also in your North Node, i.e. Pisces energy, meaning part of your soul contract. Part of what you are here to experience and express as an individual dancing on the stage of Earth School. And music, all of that is entwined in it, and also connection
to spirit. As you move on, you will see it developing and manifesting for you because you're calling it in literally.
I am dancing on life's stage. I am going to say that. I know you told me other things, but I'm like, I'm focusing on that. Interesting. Well, again, I'm very much looking forward to our private conversation. So I have lots of questions that I'm writing down now to ask you later. But I think everything that you have talked about is utterly fascinating. I think that people will really enjoy listening. I love that you gave people concrete resources for all my skeptics out there. Mark, go listen or watch. And you are just such a joy to talk to. I could talk to you all afternoon.
Well, so are you. Thank you. I hope I intrigued you to dig deeper into this wonderful world of.
I think you did. I mean, my goodness, I'm sure I'll get lots of comments and questions. But where can everyone find you?
My website is SallyRicePsychic.com, and I also have under my blog. It's basically resources.
Okay.
Full of documentaries and all of the things that we've been talking about. I have articles and films and what I highly recommend if you should visit to just type in children who have lived before. It will pull up a list of my top 5 favorite research docs and sources, scientific sources. After years and years of studying, I chose the top 5.
Okay.
And they're listed that because that will really help people, get the information under their belt so that their brain can be in alignment with the reality that this is true. And then your heart can lead the way and help manifest all your beautiful dreams and happily ever after.
I'd love that. Well, I will absolutely include all of those in the show notes for everyone to easily find. And again, thank you, Sally, so much for joining us, and have an amazing week.
You too. And I will soon and look forward to our session.
Yes. All right.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
For having me. I really appreciate it.
All right. Bye, Sally. I think that was so very super interesting. And I'm always so interested in finding out when there is supportive or supporting information, like from the scientific world that backs up all of the things that we believe from the ethereal world, if you will, or the spiritual world. And I think Sally obviously is very, very knowledgeable in that realm. So I know I am definitely going to check out some of her recommendations. And I hope you are too, because I think this is a really interesting topic. And I love that there's definitely some takeaways. So I personally know that I will be practicing manifesting as well as reprogramming my heart for the next 30 days, or my brain, or my thoughts, or however you want to say it. So those are good takeaways. I mean, I have some things I need to do in 2021 that I could use a little manifestation for. So I feel like we all could use that. So let's all collectively just agree that we are going to manifest the very best life that we want for ourselves, and do it as a team so that we are like just all living our best lives in 2021. I think we deserve it, especially after the shit show that was 2020, right? Okay, well, actually, before I wrap it up, let me just remind all of you that you should absolutely check out Sally's Facebook and her website, which I will link in the show notes for you. Once again, I feel like I'm constantly pleading, like, please rate, review, and subscribe this podcast. But seriously, it's like such an important thing, and it takes literally 2 seconds. You have no idea how much it helps me, just because that's the way of the world, like algorithms and systems and charts and blah, blah, blah. But taking the 2 seconds to give this podcast a 5-star rating, or taking 2 minutes to write a review, helps me more than you can even imagine. So, of course, I always appreciate your support and your love and your help. Also, make sure that you are following me on Instagram at Christy Lucasiak. I have been a little lackadaisical on Christy's Couch, but you can definitely follow me on regular Instagram. I share a ton about the podcast there, as well as just my super interesting day-to-day lives, whatever. I can't even speak, but I hope that you have the most fabulous week ever. Enjoy your weekend. I think the spring weather is upon us, so don't do anything that I wouldn't do, and have a great one. Bye.
If you want to be the most interesting person at the cocktail party, well, hop on over and listen to the Brain Candy podcast.
Our award-winning content will have you laughing while you're learning.
We read all the best articles, books, and studies, and keep up with new TV shows, documentaries, and pop culture. And then we cram it all into 2 shows a week.
Conspiracy theories, cannibal rabbits, unsolved mysteries, the history of the Walkman. There's something for everyone.
The Brain Candy podcast. Find our link in the show notes.
Or simply search for the Brain Candy podcast on your podcast app.